Hi, I'm Carla Cannon. I am here today to talk to you about the backbone of our language arts program. I am a mommy to an 8.5-year-old who is finishing up her 3rd grade year, and my son just turned 6 and he is finishing up his kindergarten year, and I also have a daughter who is 3. So basically, the practice of copywork and dictation is something that I did throughout my homeschool years as I was growing up, and then I've also done a lot of reading about it from the Simply Charlotte Mason website. I will post a link down below if this is something that's new to you or you kind of want to get a better handle on. This article really lays it out clearly and it's a great resource. And also, a lot of our practices and what we actually use for our copywork comes from Julie Bogart's program, Brave Writer. She has a lot of really good products. I probably don't use all of them from beginning to end, but I use a lot of her practices from the Brave Writer lifestyle, and then we use lots of her things, bits and pieces, and make it work for us. So that's a good resource too. So copywork, it is so simple. It really is. It seems almost silly to do a video about it, but I think sometimes people overcomplicate it in their minds, and it really is as simple as copying things, but the benefits are huge. It covers so many things. I think when we go into this homeschooling journey, you feel like you have to have your handwriting book, and then you have to have your spelling book, and then you have to have your grammar book, and then your writing book, and it's really overwhelming. And what ends up happening is all those things that should be closely tied together are separated into chunks that don't really overlap for our children. And I think by doing copywork and dictation, we can cover all those skills in 5 to 10 minutes a day, and it's super simple. So in the younger years, basically we start out and it's one letter. It's how they learn to handwrite. The focus at that age is just learning handwriting and forming of the letters. So at the beginning of the year, my son, who was still 5 at the time, did this. He traced a couple R's and wrote them, and then that was it. He was done for the day. We worked through all the letters of the alphabet, just doing it like that, one letter at a time, and then adding to it. Slowly we moved into him writing a whole word, and then a couple whole words, and we didn't do it for longer than 5 to 6 minutes, or even less, because that was a maximum of his ability. A few things about copywork. You should never ask your child to do more than what they can do very neatly without a lot of effort or a lot of struggling. It should be perfect. You are making a perfect replica, perfect to their ability. Obviously, as he's learning to write his letters, I know what his best is. So yeah, quality is definitely over quantity in this. It's something that you do regularly in little bits, and then it grows on each other. But it's not something that you sit down and do pages of, because then it's sloppy and you lose the value of it. So he started with letters, moved to words, and now at the end of our school year almost, that was one of his most recent sentences. And once again, that took him about 5 to 6 minutes, and he copied it, and that was it. That was his copywork for the day. Now that he's gone to full sentences, we'll talk about, not in detail, but just as he's doing them, hey, that's a name, and we always capitalize a name, no matter where it is in the sentence. Now, this name happens to be at the beginning of the sentence, so make sure we start our sentence with a capital letter. Remember what that little thing is called? Right, that's a comma. That's all we talk about. And what do we end with our sentence with? A period. And that was it. That was his copywork. And he's learned his handwriting from it, and it's been wonderful. So, and that's appropriate for anybody learning their letters and learning how to read. So, that first kindergarten, 2nd grade kind of age range, depending on where your child is at. Now, my daughter, who is finishing 3rd grade, it's kind of, we do regular copywork, but it's kind of taken to the next step. So now that handwriting isn't something that she has to think about as much, then we focus a lot more on not only handwriting and making it neat, but on spelling, capitalization and the rules of writing, but we do it in the context of her copy work. So we don't do a separate spelling program. We don't do, you know, anything like that. This is the backbone of it. So this is from Brave Writer. We're just finishing up the wand. But you could do this on your own, or you could, you know, there's lots of other things you could use. You definitely don't need a program, but it's just what we had. So we had read the book, gosh, what one was it? Oh, Golly Sisters Go West. And, you know, you easily could type this up from any book that you read, but I had it, so I just printed it out. And you can see here for all the capital letters, she highlighted them in pink. And for all the punctuation in the sentence, she highlighted in yellow to kind of help draw her attention to that. We talked about why the punctuation is where it is, why the capital is where it is, you know, not in great detail, because this is something we've been doing since she was in kindergarten. So she knows why there's a period at the end of the sentence, but it's good to highlight it because it draws their attention to it. So she did that. And then you'll see that she has several words underlined in orange. And those were the words that she felt she would need extra practice with in order to spell correctly. And so then that was her spelling list for the week. And so after she went through and highlighted it, and we just, you know, talked briefly about, you know, the different components of it, you know, for example, like this one had a lot of, that one had quotation marks, so we talked about that. It had this E, so I was like, remember, that's onomatopoeia, and it's not a real word. She's like, oh yeah, we talked about that. Super short. She copied that. I'll show you this. And yeah, she just copied it. That was it. And then she has a little notebook, wrote out her words that we would practice spelling. And then she wrote those out once or twice. We talked about them if there was any kind of strange spelling patterns. And then we really like the app. It's called Word Wizard, and it's free, and it's so fun for them. That's like the home screen of it. Got a little glare going on, but yeah, so that's the home screen, and it's a talking movable alphabet, and you can add your own spelling lists to it, and it is so much fun. It's so simple. You just add in whatever the words are that your child is working on that week. So for example, for my son, Nathan, you know, we could do all at words: hat, bat, cat, fat, rat. We haven't done a lot of spelling with him, but he thought it was fun, so we did it a little bit. And then it has, so it'll say the word, and then down here it's got this alphabet, and you just, you know, you just move it. If I want to spell, whatever, sat, and it says the sound of each letter that it makes, and then the word once you build it. Yeah, super simple, but it's fun. It makes spelling fun. I tried to be creative and do different things with it, and honestly, we pretty much just do Word Wizard now, and she likes it, and it's something she can do independently. So then she practices her words that are tricky. We'll do that for a couple of days, and then the next thing we do is French dictation, and this is something that came from Brave Writer. This was something Julie Bogart came up with, and it's brilliant because it kind of bridges that gap between copy work and then full dictation. That's a big jump. And so French dictation is something she had gotten the idea of when she went to school in France, Julie Bogart. And what it is, and once again, you could type something up this, you know, like this for yourself. So this took the passage that she had copied and it left blanks. And so then I read her the passage, and then she, instead of having to jump and do the whole passage, she just filled in the missing words, and the punctuation was already done for her. And so it's such a good way to get a little extra practice, but it's not nearly as overwhelming as doing full dictation. And that's basically what she has done for all of her third grade year. We have just now started in the last couple of weeks moving to full dictation. So theoretically, we would do copy work and the highlighting of the passage on Monday, practice the words and stuff on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we would do the French dictation, and then Thursday or Friday, do the full dictation. But, I mean, real world, let's be honest, it doesn't always happen like that. If it's something that she gets easily, then maybe we'll just jump right into the French and full dictation sooner. Or if it's tricky or life has happened, you know, it doesn't always stay so clear cut. It can bleed into the next week, or as long as it takes for her to have a full grasp of the passage and be able to do it perfectly. Because it doesn't do any good to practice it wrong. And also my daughter's a perfectionist, so to do the full dictation and then get things wrong is devastating to her, so we don't do it that way. We practice it until she's ready to do it perfectly, and then she does it. And as she's doing it, if she needs a hint or help, I'm quick to offer that up. I'm setting her up for success, not for failure. You want this to be a positive experience. So anyway, so we've done our copy work, we've practiced our words that are tricky, we did their French dictation, and then what we end our time with, I won't say week because it's not always in a week, but anyways, is the dictation. And so I don't know if you can see me on that, but anyways, how that works is I just read her the passage one word at a time, 1 or 2 words at a time, and she writes them, and then I'll kind of start again. So for this one, I would say, when May heard, and she'd write that down, and then I'd probably start from the beginning. When May heard that, and there's a comma there, so I do, you know, big pause. Oh, that kind of cues her that she needs a comma. And yeah, that is how we do it in our house. It is really effective. I think sometimes people want to make it more complicated than it is, but it really is super simple. And remember, it shouldn't take very long. And it really does build on each other. You know, you think, how effective is something that it only takes 5 minutes? But when you do just a tiny bit, I mean, you think about a sandbox. It's got thousands of grains of sand, and that is like our kids' education, right? You just add one little grain of sand. You know, you start off with their letters, and then you add a little more, and you add a little more, and before you know it, they've got this big sandbox full of stuff that they've worked on just 5 minutes at a time, and it really is effective. And it's amazing to me how much she remembers about all the rules of spelling and, you know, that kind of stuff just from doing that. The one other thing that I do regularly with my 3rd grader is, and this is an ancient book, I got it from handed down to me, but you can buy new ones. This is just the daily grams, basically, daily guided teaching and review. I can put a link to that. And they've got like a program that has lessons. We don't do the lessons, we just do this, and it is perfect. It's so super simple, and she does it all on her own. And then I help her if she has questions. And yeah, it's just a 1-page thing here. It has, you know, some stuff on punctuation, capitalization, and this one has some stuff on prefixes, you know, some kind of like grammar type thing. And it only takes her, you know, about 7 minutes to do. She reads it and then writes the answers in a notebook. I have a separate notebook that she, you know, kind of copies the answers to. She combines a sentence. There is her notebook there. So we do that on top of Copywork and Dictation, especially on those days or weeks that I'm busy and can't necessarily sit down with her as much or as long as I would like to, so then she can go do that. I suggest doing it perhaps a grade below what they said, or they say like she's in grade 3, and this one I think, yeah, it says it's the 2nd and 3rd grade book. And we're going to continue, we're not done it, so we'll continue with it into 4th grade. I mean, basically grammar, it spirals, right? It just builds and builds and builds, same things over and over again, so I don't really think the grade level is important. I think doing it a little bit consistently, and I like that she's doing the grade below because it's something that she can do independently. She could do the one that was at her age level, but I'd probably have to sit and help her with it, and I think she internalizes the rules better because it's just that little bit easier, and it's good that she has something that she can work on her own without me having to sit right there. And then I always check it to make sure she understands and didn't miss anything. So yeah, that is the basis of our language arts program. I hope that helps you. It's so simple and super powerful, and I hope you're inspired to do it with your kids. I would just suggest start small. You don't want to slam your third grader with this whole big passage, and now we're going to copy it, and now we're going to learn these words, and now you're going to write it from memory. That's too much. Start really slow. You know, start with 1 or 2 words or lines. You know, start with one single line, and it could be anything, a poem or a fact for a boy. You know, wolves weigh, you know, on average 120 pounds, period. That could be it. But start small because you don't want them to hate it, and then you can kind of build on that. If they have a negative first experience, then chances are it won't go as well in your house. So here are some links posted below, and I hope that helps you guys get started. Bye.